And you guys, we have exciting news because I know you've really enjoyed us virtual, but we're going to be back in person. It looks like next week. I don't want to make any promises, but the build out is looking insane. I'm going to be back with the boys on the couch arguing about football, my favorite thing in the world. So super exciting news. Let me introduce the guys though. Let's see how everybody's doing today. One of the most prolific figures in the history of sports media and the man who's never lost a debate, Skip Bayless.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Super Bowl champion, 5-time Pro Bowler, and 2-time All-Pro cornerback, Aqib Talib.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
The king of quarterback breakdowns and top 5 passer in USC Trojan history, Cody Kessler.
Cody. Yes, sir.
Then we got 3-time Pro Bowl and Super Bowl winning safety, TJ Ward.
TJ. Hey,
Okay,
Kinsey. Kinsey, I hope we can get back into our new studio by Monday because I'm just tired of Aqib being so far away. I got to be able to look him in the eye because this is too safe for him. You know, he gets away with too much on Zoom.
You're right, Skip. You've been talking crazy on this Zoom.
I know. We got to do this Monday. Yeah.
I need to get back eye to eye with you as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm hearing it's like maybe Friday or something like that. It's close. It's getting close.
I don't know. Maybe Monday. You never know. I think we're trying.
Okay.
We're trying hard. It's kind of good, you know, builds anticipation, right? It makes it maybe the arguing is going to be even better because you're just like missing each other.
I'm pulling up that shit, Kinsey. I'm telling you right now, I ain't smiling, I ain't laughing. I'm pulling up on. I'm on that shit when I pull up. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah. Hey, me too, Lee. Me too.
Oh yeah. Cody's ready to throw down. I'm sure he's taking some time to reflect, and he's like, "I'm gonna argue."
Yeah,
for real.
All right, guys, we got a packed show today. It's gonna be our last show before free agent tampering window opens this Monday Monday at noon Eastern time. So that's exciting. So we got a lot of free agency topics, and we're gonna be breaking down one in particular, which is the big Rams Chiefs trade, and so much more. So as always, you guys, this episode is presented by Underdog. Underdog's available in most states, including Texas, California, and Florida. New customers get $75 in bonus entries when they play just $5 to get started. So just use code GRID when you sign up and it'll load instantly. Underdog, make picks, win money with code GRID. So first things first, I want to start with Kyler Murray because the Cardinals are going to release Kyler, who has been their starting quarterback since 2019. And due to the nature of Murray's contract, he will be available to sign for the veteran minimum, which is $1.3 million. So the former Heisman Trophy winner's last full season was in 2024, and he threw for over 3,800 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. So I know you guys are pretty high on Kyler. You think he's going to be a great quarterback on the market. So Cody, is Kyler Murray at $1.3 million a bargain, or is this a bad buy?
I think Kyler Murray is definitely a bargain at that price. He's still only 28 years old. He has a ton of talent. He can hurt you both with his arm and with his legs. And he's proven that he can be a solid starting quarterback in this league. I mean, he's played some really good football over his career. He won Rookie of the Year in 2019. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler, and he had a couple solid seasons since he's been in the NFL. Even as recent, like you just mentioned, Kinsey, as 2024. It wasn't a huge year, but he still threw for 3,800 yards and 21 passing touchdowns while rushing for 570 yards and 5 more rushing touchdowns. And he was 9th in the season that year in QBR. He had a really good year with not a great team around him. But with that being said, you know, that there's still some concerns around Kyler Murray and some reasons that I think teams may be a little hesitant to sign him. The first and most obvious is his injury history. You know, the best ability in the NFL is availability. And since 2020, Kyler Murray has only been able to stay healthy for 1 full season. And he's also had some pretty significant injuries during that time. In 2022, he tore his ACL, which may hinder his ability and his mobility going forward. We don't know how much that'll affect him with a lower leg injury. Like I said, he did run the ball well in 2024, but can he get back to that same guy that he was early on in his career? That question remains. And then the other thing that I think is still a factor and that teams will consider are the questions surrounding his leadership and also his work ethic. But I will say this, and I'll defend Kyler Murray a little bit. If you look at his time in Arizona, he was voted as a team captain for 5 straight seasons. And you guys know that's voted upon by your peers. That's voted upon by the players. That's not voted upon or given out by the coaching staff. So obviously the players still view him as a leader. in that organization. Those are the guys that work with him day in and day out. There's a lot to like still about Kyler Murray's skill set. And even with those negatives, I think they are immediately erased because of this price of being able to get him at $1.3 million. You sign him to a one-year deal. If it works out, great. Then you may potentially have your future starting quarterback for your franchise, and you can work on negotiating a long-term contract extension. If it doesn't work out and he doesn't play well, then at the end of the year, you let him walk, and there's no lingering or lasting effects with his contract. This was a great thing for Kyler Murray. It immediately made him more attractive as a free agent, and because of that, I think multiple teams will be lining up for a shot to sign Kyler Murray this offseason.
No, I'm with Cody, man. I think it's a great bargain. I think he immediately, at the moment he's cut or released, he immediately becomes the number one available quarterback, man. Just from what he's done in the league. He got more starts than guys. He got more wins than guys. He got more production than all these guys. You know what I'm saying? So it's really a win-win when you look at it. Just like Cody just said, man. If you sign him, the Cardinals paying for him. You sign him, you like him, you keep him. You don't like him, shit, he only costs $1.3 million, and it's on the Cardinals tab. You know what I'm saying? It ain't on your tab. So if you a team looking for a quarterback or got questions at quarterback, the Falcons, the Vikings, the Steelers, maybe the Colts, if you in that boat right there, then you definitely should be looking at Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I agree completely. He has the biggest sample size of our top guy, Malik Willis. And for that tag, 1.3, any starting quarterback that you even thinking of is pretty much going to be a bargain at that price.
Right.
Like Lee said, the Vikings, Steelers, Jets, even if you may have a quarterback competition, you could bring him in at that price. If he's not going to guarantee to be your starter at 1.3, sure. I mean, it's not many positions you could get somebody at 1.3 as a starter in the NFL period. So it's definitely a bargain and a steal. And with Kyler's ability, I have no doubt that he's a starter in this league. He's definitely the number one free agent quarterback, regardless, of the tag. I feel he'd be the number one guy, period. His ability to run, his arm strength, arm talent, and like Cody said, he's still a leader, right? He's still somebody that your team can look to follow behind, do things the right way, and be productive and efficient. So, man, it's a bargain basement steal. Goodwill.
Goodwill.
I'm going to quadruple down. This would be an all-time steal, and I'm going to go one level deeper. To me, Kyler Murray is every bit as capable as Sam Darnold of quarterbacking a good team on a deep playoff run. I was a fan of Kyler Murray before he got drafted. I remain a fan despite all the things that Cody detailed and broke down on the negative side. But if you give Kyler Murray to, let's say, the 9-8 Vikings of last year, I will give you a playoff team next year. If you give Kyler Murray to that defense and that defensive coordinator, B-Flow, and you give him to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and Hawkinson, I'll give you a Seattle-like contender next year. And look, if you really break down what happened to Kyler Murray, he was the number one overall pick by a sorry franchise. And now as he approaches age 29, he just needs a fresh start. He needed to get cut. He needed to get re-challenged. He needed to get humbled. And I realize, as Cody said, that he has not been able to stay healthy. He's played 30 of the last 51 possible games. And as Aqib always says, if you're a running quarterback, you're going to run into some trouble. And he has run into some trouble. And I do give you that. But he's also grown up a lot because he started now 87 NFL games. And I think he's learned a lot how to self-protect. And I do know for a fact that back in 2022, as Cody alluded to, he just got addicted to playing video games, man. I heard some stories where even at his own birthday party at his house, he just locked himself in the room and let everybody else celebrate while he continued to play video games. And I think that was why they put the homework clause into his deal. remember, it got reported and then it got deleted by the team. But I was glad actually that it got reported because I think Kyler needed that sort of public humiliation over a homework clause because he needed to grow up and lock back in on putting football first in his life. And whoever gets him now is going to get him at a very good place. And I agree with Cody and TJ and Aqib on the whole idea of he's got leadership, he's got charisma. I know he's only like 5'10" and an eighth, but he is put together. He goes about 210. And if you want to call him a toy cannon, you can call him a toy cannon, but he's got a cannon of an arm. He's been clutch in key situations. He's been accurate. That 2024 year, if you break down the stats, he went 8-9, but he was 69% completions, 20, as Kinsey pointed out, 21 to 11 interceptions. But his QBR was 63, ranked ninth in the league that year.
Good, yeah.
And they did have the one playoff year where he went 9-5 back in 2021. So he's been there and done some of that. And I think it's right on time for somebody to get the steal of the century at 1.3, where you have a very experienced, talented, still young quarterback who actually should be entering his prime right now.
Right.
And you put him right place, right time. I just love it's what Sam did, obviously, with the Vikings going back 2 years ago. I think they could go on that kind of a run. Sam wasn't ready to finish it off, but now I think Kyler could finish it off.
And I think he'll definitely be motivated because I mean you don't have no money in the future. Like I said, we play today for our paper tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's how we play. So
yeah,
no money on the table. He's gonna have an amazing offseason. He's gonna come in great shape. He's gonna study his ass off. He's gonna be trying to earn a big deal for somebody, man. So it's gonna get a real motivated Kyler, man. And like you said, this is the age, especially at quarterback, when you really start to come into your prime. The game slow down for you a little bit. And I'm excited for him, man. I think he really deserved this. He really need this. And I'm excited to see where he go.
Yeah. So Cody, back to Cody real quick. Do you like his arm? Do you like his accuracy? Do you like the mechanics?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Skip is yes, Kyler Murray is a mobile quarterback, but there's a difference between being able to scramble and making some throws down the field and keeping your eyes down the field and becoming just a run-first quarterback. He's not a run-first quarterback. He has the arm talent and the ability to create outside the pocket while still being able to throw on the run and making some plays down the field. He's not a guy that is a runner first and then, will have to throw it sometimes in the pocket. He's a throwing first quarterback. I think he's got a great arm on him. And if given the time, I know there's some arguments right now saying, well, he can't throw in the pocket, his size, that hurts him. I'm not buying that. I've watched his tape, man. He's made some really good throws inside the pocket. He can make throws in rhythm. He can make throws off schedule. He can make throws off platform. He can make throws falling away. He has the ability and the talent and the skill set to be a starting quarterback in this league. And I still think he has a lot of football ahead of him. If he can go to the right situation and get with the right coaching staff and the right team around him, there's still a lot to like there.
Yeah, I know one thing. When I was in Arizona with him, he has a sense of something's going wrong and something's going right. Now, when I was there with that coaching staff, it wasn't a lot of things going right. It was just, I wouldn't say a loser mentality, but they weren't doing the things that were required to win. And that was through the daily things of practice, right? If you mess up in practice, you don't just move on to the next thing. You run it back until we get it right. And he came to me like, yo, TJ, is this, how you guys did things in Denver? I was like, hey, nah, this ain't really how we did things. And we ain't leave nothing on the table. So I know he wants to win. He's going to put his best foot forward. And at times, when winners are in non-winning situations, they might be labeled certain things. I was a victim of that myself. So it's just the way it goes. But all the talent's there. All the 1-2 is there. Get somewhere with a running game and some defense, man. And like you said, Skip, you could see him in an NFC, AFC championship.
But other than the Vikings, TJ, if he went to the Jets these are not winning organizations, and it would be difficult to thrive in those settings as well if he doesn't have any defense or anything like that. So other than the Vikings, what other team do you see him excelling with?
I think Pittsburgh. You know, depending on what they do with Rodgers.
I think the Falcons will be.
Falcons.
Yeah, Falcons.
I mean, the Dolphins, they got A and everything. Shit, they should be winning. That's a good spot too. A across the board. With,
I just don't want to see Kyler go to Kevin Stefanski in Atlanta. That's a non-starter for me.
Yeah, but also
they got a good team though.
I was about to say, Kyler Murray wants to go work with Bijan and Drake London and Kyle Pitts and those guys. I promise you that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that.
Nice young defensive core. They got some DBs. You know what I'm saying? Nice safety. Edges.
Nice. Yeah, they create turnovers too. A quarterback loves turnovers.
Yeah.
All right.
I
so
like.
guys, go ahead.
I just like Kevin O'Connell and that defense and those weapons, man. It's more solid to me. The Atlanta thing is volatile. I agree with all the talent, but man, Minnesota's got key talent, like on the verge team talent where they could go places with him.
Yeah. Only reason I don't say Atlanta because they got 2 quarterbacks right now.
Well, and they have none, right?
Hey, guys, that's what I was gonna say, Skip.
Skip,
I like Cousins, man. I'm not gonna hold you. I like Cousins. Penix get some time to really sit back and get some time to develop and learn. But I think they're in a cool spot with quarterbacks.
I will say this too, though. If he does go to Minnesota, first I've seen some arguments that he's not going to fit in Kevin O'Connell's scheme or that system. I'm not buying that. When you have a great play caller like Kevin O'Connell, he's not a coordinator that says, all right, there's only one type of quarterback I can work with. He adjusts his scheme to his quarterback and to his players. So he absolutely can put together an offense that can be tailored to Kyler Murray and the weapons on the outside. But the other thing, if he does go to Minnesota and it works out, there's a big question of what they do with JJ, but I don't think they'll make the same mistake they made with Sam. If Kyler works out and he Minnesota, I think they extend him and they don't let that happen twice.
So JJ cooked. That's what you're saying.
You said what?
Is JJ cooked? He's cooked.
I don't want to say he is, but it's you have a roster right now that's a win now roster, and the biggest question mark is the quarterback, and there's not 100% belief in that guy, and you don't know what you're going to get. It's just that Super Bowl window. You guys know sometimes when it closes, it might stay shut. So it's a risk to go into another season with JJ McCarthy without at least bringing in a guy to compete with them to see if they could have a better option at quarterback.
Yeah. JJ had a great second half in the opener at Chicago, and then he had a great game at Detroit when they won 27-24, and then he had a greater game at Dallas on a Sunday night when they just toyed with the Cowboys. But for some reason, he is wildly erratic and inconsistent, and maybe it's just first-year starting quarterback. But I just think they're poised to do another Sam Darnold kind of a run with JJ still in the backseat learning.
Yeah. Well, as long as Kyler can stay healthy. If not, then JJ's going to get another chance. But a lot of question marks with Kyler right now. Everybody agrees, though. This is a steal. This is a great deal. So I'm excited to see what happens with him. And I hope he can put the video games down and show everybody who he is and what he's got. All right, let's get to another trade, though, that honestly kind of the internet is in a frenzy. This was wild. So on our show all season long, we've discussed that Josh Allen didn't have really a wide receiver one. He didn't have that star receiver to really show what he's got. So Buffalo traded a second-round pick to the Bears for DJ Moore. And so let's see. Moore spent 3 seasons in Chicago, but he's coming off the lowest production of his career. He only had 682 yards. So, Aqib, give the Bills a letter grade for the DJ Moore trade.
I thought he was solid last year, man. It was 682. That's 700 yards by like 7-8 touchdowns or something. So, I mean, that's what he is. He had solid last few years, man. He a 750 to 900 yard guy, a 7-8 touchdown a year guy. I mean, he's still productive, man. He could play in the slot for you. He could play outside. I think his best attribute is his catch and run. You know what I'm saying? He put the ball in his hands. He can get active still. So I think he definitely helps the Bills receiving core. So I see him kind of being a Z receiver. You got Khalil Shakir in the slot. But I think they still need that dominant X receiver, man. They still, even with DJ, they still going to be missing that dominant X receiver. You see Keon Coleman, he come out week 1. He go 8 catches on 11 targets. 100+ yards, a touchdown. He looked like he the X receiver, the 6'4" guy you can have a mismatch with, and then you don't see that shit for the rest of the season. So they still missing that X receiver to me. So DJ Moore, he really solidified as the number 2 receiver for them, but they still missing the guy. So I give them a B- for the trade. They fill a gap, but not the gap that they're trying to fill.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, I give it a B. I give it a B. I was flirting around with a B- as well before, but I'm gonna give it a B just because in 8 years he got 8,000 yards receiving. So I mean, he's had a little bit more and a little bit less some years, and he's done it with Justin Fields. He's done it with the guy they got now. So Caleb. Yeah, and he's able to do it with multiple quarterbacks and different offenses. I had him on my fantasy for a couple years, so I was really watching him a lot, and he disappears at times. He really does. So I'm with Lee. I don't think he's a bona fide number 1. He's going to help the receiving core. He's back with Brady, who he had 2 of his best years with, so that should help. He should be getting some tailored plays and tailored routes and different things like that to help him be successful. But when you pair him with Allen, Allen, he's gonna make guys better. Period. So you may get your best season from him. It's still to be seen. But the only thing I kind of is that second round, man. That second round receiver thing, that's almost like a first round pick. So giving up a fringe first round pick for DJ Moore, I'm not really with. But we'll see how it turns out. That's why I gave it a B and instead of a B+ or a B- because there's still a lot to be seen. But I think he's still a good player. Got a lot in the tank, run after catch. And then that play, man, in the playoffs. We don't know what happened on that over route. Was he supposed to step in front or was he supposed to go behind? It's little things like that on the game-to-game basis with DJ Moore that turns up, right? And it is what it is. So I gave it a B. It's okay. It's not great. Not terrible. It'll suffice.
He had a couple game winners last year for the Bears too. Now he won some games for them boys too. Now
he did.
Yeah, I gave it a B+. I really like this trade. This was a position on offense that the Bills desperately needed to fill. That they have a top running back in James Cook. They have multiple weapons at tight end. They got Josh Allen at quarterback. They got key pieces with their offensive line. Now they got to figure out the interior of that O-line, but they have everything they need on offense. They're just missing a dominant number 1 wide receiver. And I really like them going and getting DJ Moore, but that now poses the question, like Aqib said, can DJ Moore be a dominant number 1 wide receiver? And I actually think he can. I think he can, paired up with Josh Allen and paired up with Brady. And we talked about last season, him coming off of his worst year statistically in the NFL. But in reality, that wasn't really fully on him. The Bears have a lot of weapons on offense, and Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson love to spread the football around and get everybody involved within their offensive scheme. So he wasn't getting as many touches because Burden was getting some catches, and Adunze and Colston Loveland. They wanted to spread the football around and then get the backs involved as well in the passing game. But when you look at DJ Moore, man, he's really good at making contested catches. He's not the biggest guy in the world at 6 foot, 210 pounds, but he's not afraid to put his body on the line and make some big time catches. That deep post, the game winner against the Packers that he caught, man, that's a difficult catch to make. Not being the biggest receiver in the world. I also love what Lieb said. I think he's really good with the ball in his hands. He's a fast receiver. He can create separation down the field. He also can create separation on the intermediate or underneath crossing routes. But my favorite thing about him, too, is his durability. Man, he has only missed 2 games throughout his entire career. And really since 2020, he hasn't missed any time. And he's played through injuries. I already said it once, but the best ability is availability. And he makes sure that he's out there for his teammates. Another thing that I really like, and TJ talked about, is pairing him back up with Joe Brady. He was his offensive coordinator in Carolina in 2020 and 2021, and those were 2 of his best years. During those 2 seasons, he had 159 catches, 2,300 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Brady knows how to get the most out of DJ Moore, and also Moore is familiar with this offensive scheme, so he can come in from day one and hit the ground running. And TJ, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I think getting a proven player like DJ Moore is more valuable than a second-round draft pick, specifically because that second-round pick is number 60. We're not talking about a late 30s or early 40s. we all know that draft picks, especially when you get outside of the first round, can become question marks. With DJ Moore, you don't have a question mark. You have a guy that's proven in this league. So I really like this trade. I actually think both teams won this trade. I think it was good for the Bears to clear cap space and go with their younger core they have right now. And I also think it's good for the Bills to potentially add a number one wide receiver on as a weapon on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to respond, TJ, or you want me to go?
I mean, I still think outside the top round, outside the first round, there's a plethora of receivers that, will be productive. And that's all the way down to the third round. So even though it's a second round, pick, even the guy that he just left with, Rome and Burden, they in back-to-back drafts have been productive wide receivers. And I think the league is just geared toward young receivers coming in and being successful.
Hey, so Cody,
yeah.
Has he been the number one receiver yet in the league? Would you say like he was the number one receiver?
You could argue he was in Carolina.
He was.
And really, I mean, if you look at it, Lee, in Chicago, the 2 years before last season, he combined for 2,300 yards and 14 touchdowns. He had 95 catches one year, and I think 98 the other year. So he has been a top weapon for them. And then in Carolina, he had, I think, 4 1,000-yard receivings or 3 1,000-yard receiving years. And he's been a viable option.
Well, I'm looking at the numbers. I see 1 year where that's acceptable from my number one receiver. That's a 1,300-yard, 8-touchdown year in 2023.
Yeah,
because 606 touchdowns, no. 966 and 6 touchdowns, no. I mean, 888 and 7 touchdowns, no. That's number 2 guy numbers.
Yeah, but there's also
11 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's number 2 guy numbers, man. If you're not,
it's a reliant position. You're talking about a guy that had a rookie quarterback and then a terrible offensive line. Like, it's a reliant position.
So look, let me tell you what.
Allen, and he's still getting above 1,000 yards almost every season, and now he's going to have Josh Allen throwing the rock. I think he's
real number ones could care less who the quarterback is. Ask Jamar. You know what I'm saying? They don't care. You give me whoever, bro. It's gonna look like 12 touchdowns and 1,200 yards. That's what
was Jamar's stats with Browning? It was terrible. When he had Flacco and he had Burrow, yeah, but they can throw the rock. When he was with Browning, there was nothing there.
That first game with Browning, he went crazy. He had a game with Browning where he went crazy. He had a game where he didn't. If he had Browning for the whole year, he's gonna have 12 touchdowns and 1,200 yards.
So you don't, but let me ask you this then, Lee. So you don't, and you got to realize in Carolina too, man, they rotated so many quarterbacks during that time with Dalton and Young and PJ Walker.
I hear all the excuses.
But so you don't think what you've seen and what he's been able to do throughout his career, 4 1,000-yard receiving, 33 yards away from a fifth, you don't think he has the ability with Josh Allen at quarterback and Joe Brady as their play caller and a run game with James Cook to be a true number one wide receiver?
I just could go off what's in the pudding, bro. That's like saying you don't see this corner. He did this, and if you give him a better D line, if I ain't seen it in 8 years, Cody, I ain't seen it. You know what I'm saying? I just can't say, oh, I think he can do this when he ain't really done it in 8 years.
Hey,
I mean,
a lot of them yards came because they was down and teams was just keeping a lead. So I seen a lot of them yards come in. Garbage time. Your receivers get a lot of yards when other teams are protecting the lead.
Listen, in 2023, Jamar, when he was with Jake Browning, he had 879 yards, and Jake Browning started pretty much that entire season, and he only had 6 touchdowns. That's a massive difference.
What was his final numbers though? Like what did he have for that season though, Kinsey? Like, you talking about just Jake Browning?
Because that was in 15 games starting.
I know, but so what was his final numbers for the season is my question.
He only had 7 touchdowns.
What was his yards?
1,200.
Hey, quit hating on my guy DJ Moore, bro. This could be
I'm with Cody on this one.
I like DJ. He's a solid 2 plus, but like Lee said, 1, man. Hey, look. We need trap defenses set up. We need.
Come on, bro. We're not worried. DJ Moore.
We need Cloud over to your side.
Go get DJ, Pat. You got DJ. We we not matching. We playing left and right. Me and Chris playing left and right. We play DJ, man.
Skip, can you break the argument? Skip, can you tell us who's right here?
First of all, it shocked me that Cody went B+ because that's like an F for Cody. If anything under an A is like an F, right? So
Skip's always
shook
on
me.
the grading scale. Hey, I just grade on a curve, Skip. I grade on a curve, you know?
All right. So I am going to break the tie here, or the argument here. I'm going to go A-. And
Yeah.
I definitely disagree with Aqib about DJ Moore being capable of being a number one receiver and an X receiver in Buffalo for Josh Allen. I'm going A- just on the fit, just on the need, just on the momentum of this move for that football team in that locker room, because I do believe in DJ Moore's big time talent. And over the last 2 years, I saw him repeatedly get frustrated with Caleb Williams, as I think any receiver would, because even under Ben Johnson last year, there was still a lot of running around, and you run your route and then you bust your route and then you reroute and you try to reopen, and Caleb can wear out receivers. And I just love the fact that DJ's going back to Joe Brady, because they had a lot of success together in those 2 years, and there was a quarterback carousel going on there with bad teams, but I saw a lot of talent, a lot of explosive talent from him. And the money it's 24.5 guaranteed the next 2 years is just fine. The second round pick is a steal to me if he is what I think he is. And remember, they also get a fifth back, so that kind of dilutes a little bit of the second round pick. And all I know about Buffalo is last year, only 55% of their passes went to wide receivers. That ranked 22nd in the league, because they had Shakir and Brandon Cooks and Keon Coleman and Shavers and Gabe Dave. They just didn't have that guy. And maybe he's not Jamar Chase, but for Josh Allen, he will become that guy. And last year, Buffalo had the lowest target depth in the league. So it was just 9.2 yards per throw per target. And that was bottom of the barrel. Well, that's about to change. I get what Aqib is saying. You're not going to lay awake at night worried about DJ Moore, and you and Chris are just going to say, if he's on your side, you got him. My side, I got him. No big deal. But for Josh Allen and what they needed, it's beautiful to me, and it's a message. It's a locker room signal. Like I went out and I did this. I got you guys a real guy, a pro's pro. And I still say, I know the Bears fans condemned DJ on the interception in overtime, but that was just a bad idea. And our guy Cam Curl, by the way, congratulations to Cam Curl, because he got his money with the Rams to stay with the Rams. I think it was 3 years, 36. So he got his 10 mil a year, and he deserves it. But he just ran the route for DJ, and Caleb just didn't read it right to me. It was just a bad idea followed by a bad throw. So again, I've seen DJ take over games. I've seen him come up clutch. We talked about the 46-yard walk-off against Green Bay. It was a hard catch straight over the head and over the shoulder. And I like this for Josh Allen. I like it for the Bills. And I think they just got significantly better by adding DJ Moore.
I mean, when you talk about Brandon Cooks, he got 1,000-yard receiving years. He's
just older.
1,000 yards.
No, I got him.
He's not considered. You ain't consider him a number one. Shit, Gabe Davis got 30 touchdowns in 6 years. He got 40 touchdowns in 8 years. He ain't considered a number. I mean, he getting buckets. He scored 7 touchdowns a year.
He did.
Him a number one. Like I just don't. I'm not saying DJ Moore is a bad receiver. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah,
but I think in Buffalo, they looking for a true number one receiver. I don't think bringing DJ Moore in is saying, okay, we solved our problem. He's helping. Don't get me wrong, he helps. But
so who would have been a better option, you think, Aqib? Because you're comparing him to Jamar Chase. There's only one Jamar Chase. Let's be real. It's hard to compare any receiver.
Even I think Alec Pierce is more of a number one
But even
right now.
Could we get more?
Hell yeah. To me, like he's better outside. He is a bigger guy. 50-50 balls. He going up, bro. People not really guarding, bro. Number by themselves. I mean, he going to work right now, bro. He like a tougher cover outside, in my opinion.
And some other guys just like to go back to the point of the draft is like these receivers, they doing 1,000 yards year in, year out. Guys that went late second round, your boy George Pickens, 50-something. Alex Pierce, 50-something. Christian Watkins, 50-something. Rasheed Rice, like they're coming in every year. Every year.
I think the biggest factor in this is those numbers can be skewed by who they play with at the quarterback spot. So you can't always just focus on those. You know, when you watch the film, I think the ability that DJ Moore has, and I know you guys know this, but I'm just saying, I think Joe Brady looks at it as a guy that worked with him one-on-one and said the skill set that he has, I can make that a 1,500-yard receiver. I can make that 2 touchdowns plus. And then you give him a quarterback like Josh Allen.
Already had him
to be that.
Joe Brady already had him. Did he do that?
Yeah, but he didn't have him with Josh Allen. He had him
with Brady, bro.
With question marks at quarterback and guys were rotating in and out of the lineup. He didn't have the stability like he has right now in Buffalo with the offensive line, with the run game, with the weapons they have at tight end to force some of these too high looks or to force them into playing, down in the box if they can run the ball and mix it up.
Who do you have? Baker Mayfield? I mean, like Baker Mayfield do numbers.
I think
Caleb Williams. He had Caleb Williams. He couldn't even get the rock. Caleb ain't even looking at him.
You just said his best year was in Chicago, 2023, 2024. Like combine those 2 seasons.
Well, I'm not combining the 2 seasons. I want to go.
That was Justin Fields, and that's why I said they was losing, and you was getting a lot of prevent coverage. Dump it in, get 20 yards here, but you're not finna win the game. And I watched because I had him on my fantasy. I'm telling you.
Okay.
I'm just hoping at the end of the game where I could get some yardage.
Man,
2024 was a rookie kid.
The Bills are in the same. It's not like the Bills went from here to here with DJ Moore. The Bills is right here at the top of the AFC, and they still right here with DJ Moore, with Brandon Cooks, with Gabe Davis, with Shakir, with Khalil Shakir, with all those guys. They didn't get a guy who take them to the next level, bro. They just did not pick that up with DJ Moore.
They can spread the ball out, and they're not paying one receiver $40 million a year.
That's what I'm saying. That makes you in the same boat. That puts you in the same until you pay a guy $40 million or $25 million. That's what the money do, Kinsey. It takes you to the next level.
$25 million and the guy's gonna give me 1,200 yards. I'm happy. I'm like, absolutely.
Aqib, do you think Joe Brady signed off on this? Do you think he encouraged this deal? Did he want him back?
I mean, he probably did. I think he believes in him. He think he's a good player.
Absolutely.
If he was on the trade block, oh yeah, we could use him. But I still think the Bills, they not done yet. They gonna try to go get one of these number 1 receivers to be a number 1 guy. Then they got a slot guy, a Z guy, and an outside guy. So nobody can say we don't got receivers now. So I just don't think they done. Even at the end of the first round, they might draft one of these guys. It's a bunch of receivers in the draft. So I still think they working, man. They gonna get somebody at this X receiver to push Keon Coleman. And I just don't think they done yet. I don't think they got him and they say, okay, we solved our problem at receiver. They didn't get DJ Moore and think that.
Hey, Aqib, if DJ Moore had been a Buffalo Bill at Denver in that playoff game, Buffalo would have marched on.
we would have put Quan McMillan on him.
Oh, okay.
Damn.
Yeah. And he would have gotten cooked.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, Skip, I'm agreeing with you.
Thank you, Kinsey. I appreciate that. That's the first.
I'm with Skip and I'm not with Aqib today. Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
All right, let's talk about another trade that was a shock this week because the Chiefs have traded Trent McDuffie to the Rams for a package of picks that is going to be included the number 29 pick in this year's draft. So the Rams secondary, if we're looking at it, arguably was the reason that they weren't able to go all the way last year. I think that and also their special teams. But their last 2 games against the Seahawks, the Rams defense allowed 69 points, 822 passing yards against Sam Darnold. So, Skip, with McDuffie now in LA, are the Rams' new favorite over the Seahawks in the NFC?
Kinsey, the second I saw this, I immediately tweeted, the Rams are now the favorites to win it all next year. And what tore my guts out was this is exactly the kind of move that I need Jerry Jones to make for the Cowboys, who could have certainly used Trent McDuffie. And it's the kind of move Les Snead just keeps on making. As Aqib correctly pointed out early last season, the Rams corners were trash, and they got trash canned in the second and third games against Sam Darnold in Seattle, and especially in the championship game, got trash canned. And all of a sudden, in one fell swoop, that got fixed because Les Snead said, F them picks. I'm going to go out and get a proven star corner, an all-pro corner. And what I love about Trent McDuffie is he's so versatile. You can play him outside. You can play him in the slot. He's a game-breaking blitzer and has been since he first stepped foot into the NFL. And he's from Southern California, went to St. John Bosco High School out here in the LA area. So he's always wanted to play for the Rams. So it's the perfect fit. And the Rams kept the 13th overall pick, which I was shocked by. They gave up the 29th. Then they gave up a 5 and a 6 and a 3rd next year. I'd F them picks for Trent McDuffie. That's just me. I just thought it was a sweet, brilliant move. And all of a sudden, you fixed what ailed you against Sam Darnold.
Hey, I don't like agreeing with you, Skip, but you look at the Rams in the past, right?
Yeah.
They trade for Aqib, Talib, and Marcus Peters.
Yeah.
They go to the chip that year.
They did.
2019, they traded for Ramsey. By 2021, they was winning the Super Bowl. Now here they are again. You know what I'm saying? Making a splash trade for another all-pro
trade. Yeah.
Cornerback, man. So they must be going to the Super Bowl here soon, man. They trade for corners and they go to the Super Bowl like that. So they must be on their way back, man. So here, I definitely say they were a cornerback away, man. You have a number 1 cornerback. It allows you to do so much with your coverage. You could put him on the number 2 guy and double the top guy. You can just strap him on the number 1 guy. You can let him go to that side. You can just it open up so much stuff for your defense, man. They weren't able to do that last year because their corners just wasn't consistent at all, man. I even think with that 13th pick, they might draft another cornerback, man. There's some big corners.
There are a bunch of them. Yeah,
really solidify that room, man. They might have action at McCoy or Delane. You know what I'm saying? Them the top 2 guys, they might still be floating. How them pass rushers look this weekend at the combine?
Yeah.
Corners might still be floating.
And Aqib, remember, Dallas might take one of those 2 guys you just mentioned at 12, which would leave one of them at 13. So
one of them might be there at 13, man. So that'll really solidify that room, man, if you ask me. And then we saw these guys versus Seattle last year. Shit, it was dog fight after dog fight, man. All of them was close. All of them was dog fights. And if you bringing back that same Rams team, you improve at the corner position, I think you got a chance to get past Seattle. They definitely got a chance to get past Seattle. With the same team, the Seattle, they're going to be the ones who losing some guys from their Super Bowl team. You know what I'm saying? The Rams bringing back that same team. You improve that corner. I think they definitely got a shot.
Yeah, I mean, does it make them better? Absolutely. Does it make them favorites over the Seahawks? I don't think so. The reason I say that I don't think so, the guy that I tend to believe that he's replacing is Kobe Durant, who had a abundance of interceptions. But you still have Forbes, who I feel was getting beat up the most in coverage. Now, getting 2 corners may give him that hump. But 1, I don't think it does it. And another reason, McDuffie is a man-to-man cornerback, right? He's a man-to-man, get in your face. He don't get a lot of picks, but he going to shut your guy down, play inside and out. The Rams, they run cover 3. The Seahawks was torching them in cover 3. And McDuffie is not great in cover 3. He's not a great zone corner guy. For whatever reason, he gives up a lot of passes in zone coverage. Whether it's they fit in his zone, he doesn't relate well to the zone that he's playing. That's what the Rams do. So I don't think it the third point, and I know the Seahawks probably won't retain Walker, is stopping the run in 11 personnel. That's what the Rams couldn't do, and that's what the Seahawks continue to do in the late playoff game or in the late regular season game and in the playoff game. They use their backs with such high efficiency. And the only game that the Rams beat the Seahawks in is they had 4 turnovers on defense. They had 4 turnovers. So if you're not getting those turnovers like you have in Kobe Durant, who I thought was a good corner. He gives up a little bit of yardage, but I think his return and investment is on interceptions. He had 2 interceptions against the Bears to get them to the NFC Championship. And, from there, I just don't think that McDuffie puts them over the top against their division rivals in the Seahawks and what they do. I think it's just a bad mismatch for the Rams overall. But McDuffie, great player, all pro. Would like to see more interceptions from him. He only 3 in the last 2 years. And I think in that conference, especially dealing with the Seahawks, you got to get the ball back. Because with that offense, JSN and Barner at tight end, they're going to put them points up. And they're going to find ways to get your mismatch and fit things in between that cover 3 and that quarter. So, in them quarters, my bad.
Yeah, I really like this trade. I mean, Trent McDuffie is a guy that immediately makes their defense better. You guys said it great. I mean, he has a lot of versatility. He can play outside. He can cover the slot. Really good in man-to-man. He's also really good, too, at stopping the run. I think he's a physical corner for not being the biggest guy in the world. He plays the run really well. And obviously, the Rams felt that they desperately needed to address that position for a good reason. Last year, they had the #1 offense in the NFL. They're bringing back Matthew Stafford, all these things. But the defense is what let them down in multiple big-time games, including the NFC Championship game against the Seahawks. They were 19th in passing defense last year, and a big reason for that was because of the inconsistency at the cornerback position. They couldn't really cover anyone on the outside, and this move definitely helps them. But when you add a guy like Trent McDuffie, not only does he help the secondary, I think he helps this entire defense. 2 guys that are going to love this are Byron Young and Jared Verse. When you have a guy like that can cover on the outside, it allows your pass rush to get home, and it forces the quarterback to hold the football a little bit longer. But with all of that being said, and as much as I like this move by the Rams, I still think the Seahawks are the favorite in the NFC. I mean, what they are building right now in the Pacific Northwest under Mike Macdonald, it has been unbelievable to watch. And he's such a young coach with a lot of football still ahead of him. I really believe he's put a foundation and a winning culture in place to make Seattle good for a very long time. And more importantly, they're retaining some very good players from last year's Super Bowl team on both sides of the ball. And Aqib talked about them also losing some guys in free agency, which they are, like Reek Woolen and Rashid Shaheed and Kenneth Walker and some of those guys. But they're set up very nicely with their cap space. So Aqib, they're top 5 going into the offseason with cap space. They have money to spend. Schneider's done an unbelievable job of building this roster via trades, through free agency, and through the draft, to where they have players on their roster now they can win with, but also have enough money, and they're not in cap space jail, that they can still spend in the offseason to either retain those guys or go hit the market and get other guys to help their team get better. I just think Seattle's set up right now perfectly to be good for a long time. And I know you guys give him a hard time, but I think Sam Darnold is hitting his prime right now, and I think he's going to continue to get better and better. And I think Seattle's going to be the team to beat for the next couple of years in the NFC.
Okay, but Cody, we know how much you love your guy Sam Darnold, but you act like Seattle owned the Rams last year. And I remind you, they had a big lead in the fourth quarter at Seattle on that Thursday night and lost in overtime. And then at Seattle in the NFC Championship game, it goes down to one throw, comes down to one late throw, and Matt Stafford, for whatever reason, couldn't find anybody open, had time, made a bad choice and a bad throw to me. And it came down, if he completes it, we're having a different conversation.
But that's what happens, Skip, when you have 2 great teams and 2 great head coaches. Even the one they lost, Sam threw 4 interceptions and they only lost by 2 points and were a 60-yard field goal away from winning that game. And then the next 2, they go back and forth. That's just what happens when you have 2 heavyweight teams like that. You're going to go blow for blow. It's just going to, come down to who can get the job done. And Seattle got the best of them last year. And don't forget, too, they got the 49ers who are going to revamp and be ready to go next season as well. The NFC West can be extremely tough, but I still think that the Seahawks have the slight advantage right now, even with this McDuffie trade, as much as I do like this move by the Rams and Les Snead.
Oh, okay, but if you take away Reek Woolen and or you lose a big running, one of your 2 running backs and Mafe, and they're going to have 4 or 5 defections. They're going to lose some talent and some
Reek
depth.
Hit. Big plays.
Yeah. No,
against the Rams, he was giving up big plays.
Everybody, well, you talking about one game. Everybody give up big plays.
We talking about the Rams and the Seahawks.
Man, Rick Willen is a big part of them being able to do what they do, bro.
Yeah, agreed.
Simple as that on defense.
Another guy too. Josh
Jones.
Jones.
Of Walker. Same with Rashid Shaheed.
If you give up a touchdown versus the Rams in both games, you're not good against the Rams. I don't care what you do the rest of the season. We talking about the Rams and the Seahawks. He gave up a big touchdown in both those games. So against the Rams, he wasn't helping much.
So why was he celebrating on the sideline when he got a taunting penalty? Why was
he made a play on third down? He made a good play.
He just made a good play in the big ass game. That's why he's celebrating.
What I'm saying is, in that game, you gave up 2 big touchdowns in each game for whatever lack of focus, lack of whatever. Taunting, you came back taunting. They went right back at you. They ran a fade for a touchdown.
The entire season. Let's just remember that they play 16 other teams. You know
what we talking about the Rams, right? We talking about the Seahawks. This question right here.
Okay, but in the end, we're talking about the Rams went out and they had a glaring deficiency, and they got an all-pro corner, and you got to give them that. That's going to change life. And you can tell me scheme, but Chris Shula, they'll figure it out. They'll just
you. Sometimes you play the scheme to what you got.
Yeah.
And you don't really want to lead them guys in man. Now I got a guy who can play man.
Yeah.
Maybe I lock him on the outside on Devontae.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or maybe I lock him on the outside on whoever they got outside because they're going to lose sheet on Cooper Kupp or somebody. And now we can get man so we could double Puka. Maybe I'm like, I can't fucking double Puka, so I can't play man against them boys. So he allows you to do more stuff. Once you get a number one corner, now you can be flexible with that defense. That's my point.
And they're not going to give up 4 draft picks and trade for a guy like Trent McDuffie, who's about to get paid, potentially be the highest paid corner in the NFL. They don't think they have a scheme that he can fit in. They're not going to make that move if they think he's just a man corner and we're going to still play zone. They're going to tailor this defense, release coverage in the back to get.
I mean, that's what I said. I'm not saying that he can't play cover 3 or they going to tailor it around him. I'm just saying, like Leaf said, are you going to play more man now? Because that's what he's best at because you have the ability to. Or are you going to stick in your zones? That's what my point was.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they'll play more man. But to that point, the reason that, look, and I know they may lose Rick Willen. Josh Job's another guy to keep an eye on at corner. I thought he played really well towards the end of the season.
Another one.
Some guys, but we're not talking about a team that went all in for one season on a Super Bowl and now is in a terrible cap position and they're losing all their key players and they only paid 3 guys to take up the bulk of their cap space.
Young guys to pay though.
Yeah, they do have guys to pay, but they have the money to pay them. That's what
that's what I'm saying. So y'all losing a lot of these guys, and y'all gotta pay y'all young guys so that team don't stay stacked the fuck up forever. That's just not how it works.
But you're also retaining key positions like guys like JSN, like Sam Darnold, your quarterback, like Leonard Williams up front, other guys that are already paid that you're going to have for a couple of years that you can build around. And if you lose some of these guys, fair. And obviously you don't want to lose a guy like Rick Willen. You don't want to lose Kenneth Walker, who's just a Super Bowl MVP. But if you do, you have the assets and the money to bring someone else in to hopefully fill that void.
Well, hopefully you could bring in a Super Bowl MVP. Hopefully you could bring in a guy, Shaheed, who won 2 late games by his damn self. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Them the type of guys you losing, bro. Them huge pieces.
I mean, we don't know for sure if they're losing them, but this year I will say if they lose Kenneth Walker, the running back market is going to be really good. I think there's some good backs.
Monday. I told you what that Super Bowl do. It make you the hottest commodity out there, bro. And something like that.
Yeah. Hey, Cody, I do remind you that it wasn't that long ago that Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions in one game at SoFi against the Rams. 4.
Why did I know this was coming? Skip's face immediately when
4.
he said, they got Sam Darnold back. He's like,
you know what, Skip? He's also got a fat ass Super Bowl ring on his finger now.
He does.
I'm not worried about that no more.
And now I can never call him the nickname that I created for him. So I'm not. I bite my tongue. I'm not going to call him. You know what?
Yeah.
You maybe aren't going to call him that, but am I surprised at all that Cody is supporting Sam Darnold and you're supporting the Rams? No, I knew that this conversation was going in that direction. You may not call him Sam Darnold, but you're not going to back the Seattle Seahawks.
I'm not calling him what you just called him, Kinsey.
I know. I did say it. Hey, I didn't make that promise.
You know what, though, Skip? it's the NFL, man. You got to go prove it all over again next year.
You do.
So,
well said.
Things done.
Touche.
What I do know is that the NFC West needs to slow up a bit. It's already so difficult for my Niners, and then the Rams making this move. Come on, it's going to be impossible next year. That division's insane. But I want to look at the other side of this trade here, you guys, because the Chiefs didn't even make the playoffs last season, and now they got this news. So they are very, very surprised, and that is including Patrick Mahomes, okay? Because Patrick Mahomes took to Twitter, X, and said this. He said, the Chiefs have a history of letting pieces in their secondary walk. After the McDuffie trade, that is 3 of the 4 starters in their last Super Bowl win no longer on the roster. Justin Reed and L'Jarius Sneed both walked in free agency, and clearly the Chiefs weren't interested in paying McDuffie either. So, TJ, are you surprised that the Chiefs didn't want to pay McDuffie?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. One thing I know about the Chiefs is they will build their team through the draft. They will do it year in and year out. And Lieb just brought up MP going to the Rams. That's because they didn't want to pay him that high
is true.
price tag for being the best corner in the league. And guess what? They were back in the Super Bowl a little few years later. So, I mean, a $30 million for a number 1 corner, that's a lot. But for the Chiefs, as long as you got Pat Mahomes in the pass rush, you can get it done. And they keep one guy, that big guy in the middle, Jones. He makes everything happen for that defense anyway. So, I think the last rookie DB who contract they extended was Eric Berry, who came drafted with me in 2010. So, they will build through the draft. They'll find another corner to come in. Let's not forget McDuffie had his best years, his all-pro and second-team all-pro in his rookie contract. He's just now going on his second contract. So it is possible, and they will find a player that they can develop into an all-pro player during his rookie contract. As long as Pat Mahomes is healthy, which he's probably going to miss half the season anyway. So if you do retain McDuffie and pay him all that money, you damn near going to have wasted half a season with him anyway, because you're not getting anywhere without Pat Mahomes. So, looking back at what the Chiefs do and how they are successful, I don't find it surprising at all. So they're not in the win.
For sure going to be there at the beginning of the year, man. They
think so?
If you ain't seen how they fixing ACLs nowadays in 2020, I don't know what you've been watching, but
he did get surgery.
When we had this a couple of weeks ago, I said, it would be faster, maybe not half the season, but I just don't think he'll be back to, his normal self probably to halfway.
But I'm not surprised at all, man. The Chiefs, they do not pay cornerbacks, man. They might have paid Eric Berry, but he plays safety. They don't pay cornerbacks, man. They do a great job drafting cornerbacks. They do a great job developing cornerbacks. And then they just don't invest in them, man. They let them walk. They get compensation for some of them. Some of them, they just lose to free agency. Like you said, Marcus Peters, that's one. L'Jarius Sneed, that's one. They just let Trey McDuffie go one. Then Jalen Watson is another guy. He's a free agent. They probably going to lose him this year.
They are.
That's their number 1 outside guy. Really, McDuffie kind of slot. But they probably going to lose Jalen Watson, going to be the next guy who they let go. Man, these guys pay offensive players. They pay defensive linemen. You know what I'm saying? They pay their trenches. They pay all the guys on offense. They pay their trenches on defense, man. And they just draft well at all the other positions. So don't be don't be surprised if they use one of them first-round picks that they got. You know what I'm saying? To draft a late corner. Little bro from Toledo, nice. They're going to find one guy who they've been scouting this whole time. Ooh, that's him right there. We love how he played. They're going to get him. They're going to develop him. He's going to become a Pro Bowler or All-Pro. Then they're going to get a first-round pick for him too. So that's just how the Chiefs do shit. So I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, I was a little surprised because of the production that he's had. I mean, he's been really good these last 4 years. He was instrumental in their back-to-back Super Bowl wins. He's a good player. But at the same time, like they said, I wasn't. I think it really came down to the financial situation. The Chiefs going into the offseason were in a terrible position with cap space. Now, they've made some really good moves to open up some money, but they wanted to have more money to spend on other position needs instead of paying McDuffie over $30 million a year. They got to address the running back position, which they could do in the draft, but they also could do in free agency. They got to go get a pass rusher. They probably got to go get another receiver on the outside. They might have to go get another safety as well. So they needed to spend the money elsewhere. Another thing that I think played a big factor in this, and you guys already said it, what was the value they have for draft capital. They got 4 picks out of this, including a first-round pick this year, and Veach and Reed together have been really good with their draft picks over the last 8 to 10 years. So they see, having a late first-round pick, maybe we can go get a corner and get the same production we got from McDuffie at a lot cheaper price. Now, time will tell if they can get a guy to fill those shoes, and it may take a little bit of time, but they really believe in themselves when it comes to drafting players. And then, like you guys said, they have a history of being reluctant to playing their top corners, large contract extensions. Snead, they traded to the Titans in 2024. Marcus Peters, they traded to the Rams in 2018. And now they're doing the same thing with Trent McDuffie. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that they did this. I was a little surprised because of how talented McDuffie is, but this is just the way the Chiefs operate. And you can't really question them because besides last year with the injuries and having a little bit of a down year, every year they're in the AFC Chip or the Super Bowl, they're getting another ring. So they know how they're doing things.
You bundle them picks up, you get a whole bunch of picks. You can move up and get, the talent you want.
Yeah.
So.
Look, I obviously wasn't surprised because this is the way the Chiefs have always done business.
Yeah.
But do I agree with doing business this time with this player? I do not. And I don't think Patrick Mahomes agreed either, because I'm glad we showed that tweet. He just immediately tweeted one word, damn, because this was a damn. This was like, damn, even McDuffie, after all he's done, an all-pro corner who is so versatile. And as I think Aqib pointed out, Jalen Watson's unrestricted. He'll be gone. And don't forget, I know it's a safety, but Brian Cook's pretty good, and he's unrestricted, and I think he's going to be gone. So when TJ said, well, they keep the big fella up front, Chris Jones, but you know what big fella they rely on the most is the defensive coordinator, because they think his scheme and his ability to teach and develop corners and safeties will prevail. That just give him fresh, just give him new, go sign a couple of, draft a rookie, go sign maybe another bargain basement free agent at safety if you have to. And Coach Spags will just figure it out, and he'll make them better than they deserve to be. And a lot of people say, well, L'Jarius Sneed crapped out in Tennessee. I think Tennessee crapped out as a team. I think it's hard to shine for that team there. And listen, they let Charvarius Ward go, and he obviously wound up in San Francisco as a free agent. So they just keep on keeping on doing this. And at some point, it's going to be diminishing returns. And I think they're going to miss Trent McDuffie because he's a star. And I think Mahomes knows he's a star. And Mahomes goes against him a lot in practice, and he just knows what he can do. So I just, at some point, I feel like Kansas City is still living in the past. And they're able to do it because they have Andy and Spags and Patrick. They keep saying, well, we'll just blast the past again. We'll reach back. And I'm going to say it again. Patrick's stats have eroded each of the last 3 years. And now, after his biggest running year of his career, he's coming off an ACL. And I believe he'll be back for week 1, but I don't think he'll be back with the same mentality that he had before, because I don't think he's going to be taken off as much as he used to. So will that hurt his game a little bit? Probably a little bit. So, and I don't know if Travis is going to play or not play. They seem like they want to run it all back. And at some point, you're going to run out of running it back. And I think they're on the precipice of that right now.
So, Skip, do you see the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs this season? They're going for the rebuild. Yeah, he's coming off the ACL. They might not have Travis. Maybe they will. I mean, and he's older.
It's a good question, Kinsey. It's just premature right now. I need to see what are they about to do to refresh. Will Jeremiah Love fall to them at, what are they, 9? Will he fall there? Because I'm not sure he's going to fall that far. But if he does, that'll. What's that, Cody?
I don't think you will either, Skip.
Yeah. My God.
Man, there's some. That kid's.
No, I got it. But if you told me they have Jeremiah Love with Patrick, I'd say, okay, back in business. But right. I'm not sure about that. So I need my lean right now. My gut feeling is they're right on the playoff bubble. I don't see a powerhouse. I don't see dynastic anymore. I see a team that's going to, what were they, 6-11, and with Patrick they were what, I can't remember what, 5-9. It was pretty awful last year. Even with him healthy, it was pretty awful.
I don't think you don't need a Jeremiah Love. You need a consistent running back. Isaiah Pacheco was a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah,
He was the man for them. You got 2 guys you need, Patrick Mahomes and Jones. I'm telling you, whether it was Snead, Ward, Watson now, MP, they're going to find a cornerback in the first 2 rounds that's going to come in and be able to line up against anybody's number 1 receiver.
okay, but where did Patrick and Chris Jones get them last year?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
They had them
they was competing for AFC West.
But
they were competing for the AFC West.
No,
all the way.
That's just 1 year though, Skip. I mean, they don't get no grace. They don't get no grace for dominating the Super Bowl for the last 7 years, and then they have 1 off year. They don't get no grace for that.
Okay, you're going to give them grace for being down 40-6 with 4 minutes left in the Super Bowl against the Eagles. 40-6.
I'm gonna give them grace for the appearance. Yes, yes, that's what I'm gonna give them grace for. They was there. They
don't remember the O-line was
better team. They was there though.
I will, and they were going for a 3-peat, by the way. But I will say this. I disagree a little bit with you, though, TJ. I think they need a running back. I like Isaiah Pacheco, but last year he didn't have 1 run over 20 yards.
He was hurt, Cody.
Yeah, but also even when Kareem Hunt was in there, he had 1 run over 20 yards. Patrick Mahomes, game in and game out, had to be their leading rusher. It's not a recipe for success as he's getting later on in his career. Travis Kelce's getting towards the end of his career. Not later on in Mahomes' career, but I'm saying as he's getting older, you don't want him to be taking those as many hits as he did. I mean, there were times he's running, lowering his shoulder on a linebacker, trying to pick up extra yards instead of turning around and giving it to a back. And then they didn't have a ton of weapons consistently on the outside. I think they do need a running back this season. They got to figure out some stuff with their O-line, but I think they do need to go get a running back.
That's you hit it. You said it right there. They need to spend that $30 million that they was going to give to a corner and put it in that O-line, because that's why they couldn't run the ball. And that's why Pat Mahomes is hurt.
That's fair.
Yeah, I do think though they need to add a running back. I do.
For sure, but I don't think
you need a guy that can. Kenneth Walker's a great example in the Super Bowl. That if your O-line is struggling and there is a free guy in the hole, I can still make a miss and turn a 2nd and 12 into a 2nd and 5 at least. I just think last year Pacheco, with the injuries and things that were going on, and Kareem Hunt didn't have that spark for them, and it put a lot of pressure on Mahomes' shoulder to have to run a little bit more.
And if you get a chance, if Love do drop to number 9 or whatever, there's no way that's a Saquon Barkley, Adrian Peterson type. You know what I'm saying? That's a John type. That's a number 1 type guy. So if you don't have a running back, there's no way you pass up on this guy.
No.
He's gonna do something for you.
Yeah, on a rookie deal at that price. Yeah, no, absolutely.
You know what I hear from our 2 ex-Broncos on our crew today? I hear you guys think that Patrick Mahomes is still the boogeyman. You don't want to provoke the boogeyman. And I dare you, go look at his numbers over the last 3 years. Go look at his QBR falling and falling from his MVP year 4 years ago. Go tell me he's still the boogeyman. Okay, I don't see Boogie.
So the last 3 years, Skip, how many Super Bowl appearances do he have?
Yeah, all right.
How many?
No, I got it.
All right, so what we talking about? QBR, none of that matters. I would take the middle of the pack QBR and the Super Bowl appearance every season of my life.
Okay,
don't give me no chip. Just let me be Jim Kelly and go to the Super Bowl every fucking year and be middle of the pack QBR.
You know what the boogeyman did? He kept taking advantage of your sorry-ass division that your Broncos were in. For all those years, you were just sorry-ass competition. He had no competition within the division. And he kept cakewalking to home playoff, Super Bowl. Home, Super Bowl.
He was beating ass in the playoffs. He was beating Josh Allen ass. He beat Burrow ass. So I don't care what he did. He beat ass in the playoffs.
You
act like the Broncos were a broken foot away from the
competition, right?
Skip, you got both of them to take the bait, man.
I did. I
Their
got
faces,
them both.
they were so mad.
I'm right. I pushed the button. Yeah.
Skip
Way to
loves
go.
virtual. He just wants to throw shots at the guys, and there's nothing they can do.
See, that's why we need to get back in that studio.
We got to get back. Yeah. Yeah.
That was an absolute shot.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Lots of question marks on the Chiefs. Lots of question marks on the Chiefs. So we're going to find out what's going to happen there. But this is a fun show, you guys. I feel like we've got a bunch of wild news. So I'm going to continue with the wild news because, you know, the Patriots are back in the Super Bowl. And now they decide that it still wasn't going to work. And they are going to be releasing wide receiver Stefon Diggs. So Diggs' cap number was set to rise from $10.5 million to $26.5 million. And Diggs was the team's top producing receiver. He was averaging 12 yards per reception. And obviously they got to the Super Bowl. But they said, you got to go, Diggs. So, Aqib, were you surprised the Patriots cut Stefon Diggs?
I wasn't surprised, man. This guy is a hell of a player. I thought he was a great leader for them guys, man. You know, he's a little bit older, and I thought his veteran presence was good for them. But he just really don't represent that Patriot way. You know what I'm saying? They do shit a certain way in New England. And a lot of drama came with Diggs in 1 year. He was there 1 year. He had the Cardi
B. He had 8 baby mamas in 1 year.
Bro, he had the Cardi B drama, the baby mama drama.
Yeah.
He got the assault charge with the chef.
Yeah.
Oh.
Before the season even started, he had the pink Molly boat situation that they had to address. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a lot of drama, a lot of attention that's not positive attention coming from New England. And the Patriots don't do that, man. Mr. Kraft, he might go dance with Cardi B and all that. But in the back of his mind, he thinking like, yeah, we don't really do this shit. And when Bill was there, Bill ain't do that shit. And now Mike Vrabel is a product of Bill and Mr. Kraft, and he don't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? So the Patriots are not going to deal with off-the-field drama. They're not going to deal with bad locker room guys. That's just not how they do shit. And as long as Mr. Kraft is there and Vrabel is a product of them guys, as long as he's there, it's going to be a Patriot way in New England, man. So if you ain't quiet in that media, they going to get rid of your ass. They don't give a damn what the production is. So it is what it is, man. So I wasn't surprised at all to see them let him walk.
Yeah, Key, before TJ goes, Bill does that shit in Carolina now, doesn't he?
Yeah, hey, that Patriot ain't no Tar Heel way. We talking about
Patriot way.
All right, go.
Yeah, a lot of distractions, man. And the Patriots, I never played for them, but Lee did. They fly under the radar except for winning. That's the only thing they boisterous about. And on top of the cases, the child paternity cases, the wedding cases, it's all about the money. Yeah. And we know that the Patriots aren't big spenders, and that his cap jumped from 10.5 to 26.5 next year. So on top of all the drama, your dollar go up. You got to go. You got to go. Unless you Randy Moss coming in here and 1,000 yards, like I said, it's good in the NFL right now, but that don't keep you nowhere. It don't make you my number one. So I'd like to say a little bit against leaves him saying talking about him being a great leader. You lead by not only what you say, is what you do. And as far as professionalism and being a straight arrow, you may have done that a little bit early in your career, but this year, your professionalism was far from what we want here in New England. So yeah, man, I'm not surprised by that. He ran that ran its course. It's time to go.
Well, I mean leadership, like you know what I'm saying. You see him doing the pregame speech when they on the field.
He did.
And he worked hard.
Sure. He did all that.
Yeah, he go hard as fucking practice. Like you know what I'm saying. He helped guys. You see him right here with this receiver helping this guy. Like that's the leadership that I'm talking about.
Yeah, on field. But as much as on-field matters, they're going to look at the Patriots, especially as your off-field character.
Yeah.
I mean, even Randy Moss, shit.
Yeah.
Moss brought a little, personality to him, and then he got gone from out of there. You know what I'm saying? So it don't matter who you is, for real.
Yeah, and the same thing. They got him to the chip. We didn't win it.
Ooh, you can go. Well, man, you can go.
From a production standpoint, I was actually pretty surprised that they did release him. I mean, if you look at the numbers, Stefon Diggs was Drake May's leading target at receiver by a wide margin from last year. He really was. I mean, he had 37 more targets than the next closest receiver. He had 85 receptions. The next closest was Mac Hollins, who had 46. He had 1,000 receiving yards. The next closest was Booty, who had 551. So it wasn't like there's a little bit of a drop off from Diggs. We can get the same production for some of these other guys, which they still potentially can. But Diggs was by far Drake May's leading receiver. So I thought that they would maybe try to find a way to at least keep him for another year. And I could be wrong, but what I read is it sounds like they did. Some reports were saying that they tried to restructure his contract so that he would take less money, take less of a cap hit, but he wasn't willing to do so. So even with some of the off-field issues and the things that are going on around him, and maybe they don't think he represents the Patriots way, it sounds like if he would have restructured, they still might have wanted to keep him on the roster. So, obviously they didn't want to take the $26 million cap hit. They got to pay Christian Gonzalez this offseason, who will probably be the top paid corner in the entire NFL, and they want to have some money to spend elsewhere. But I was a little surprised because it sounded like if they were, and if that is true, wanting to restructure, then I would have anticipated them wanting to keep him around, or that they thought at least we can keep him for less money and maybe deal with some of the off-field stuff because of Vrabel and because of the leadership on this team. But yeah, from a production standpoint, I was surprised. You guys do make good points. Maybe they didn't want to deal with the off-field stuff, but it sounds like if it was going to make sense financially, they still might have kept him.
Well, one thing that goes with the suspension.
We have no idea what those numbers, what they wanted to put him at.
I don't.
Exactly.
If you
give him an offer, he's going to
right
refuse.
here. He said, "Bro,
straight up."
So you're saying you think they said he won't take this? Now we can go ahead and say we tried.
Even with the cases comes suspension. So now we don't know if he's gonna be suspended and for how many games next year. Even if he found not guilty, they still, just for it even being news, your ass gonna be suspended. I know. I've been there.
I'm telling you, man, it don't matter. It don't matter the production in New England. It don't matter if you making noise. If you making noise, especially about contracts, you ain't liking the contract, they gonna get you going. That's how Moss got up out of there. Moss coming off a 1,200-yard, 13-touchdown season. He making noise about a contract, man. I need a new deal. Trade it. Get up out of here. Go back to the Vikings, bro. You know what I'm saying? Go back to the Vikings if you don't like what we got going. They're not dealing with the noise, period.
So my question is, if that's true, and it very well could be, why even say that? Or, again, this is reported. I don't know the truth behind it fully, and no one's really come out. But why even try to renegotiate or restructure in the first place instead of just saying, I'm going to cut ties anyways because it's not worth even trying to restructure? What if Diggs says, hey, you know what? Yeah, I will take that. I just want to be here because I believe in what you guys are building, even if it is.
For that number, the possible suspension, the noise you making, maybe for this number, we'll deal with it. All right. The Patriot way, we'll deal with it for this little number right here. And he like, bro, I can't play for that. So, hey, it is what it is. It's a slight chance that he'll take it. He ain't take it. So we're going to do what we said we're going to do with him.
Yeah. Well, it was vet minimum.
Exactly, bro. Like, come on now.
Maybe.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. Look, I hear everything everybody just said. Baby mama drama. I got it. Just for the record on this incident with the chef, he did plead not guilty, categorically denied everything. She accused him of smacking her and choking her over a pay dispute. So just for the record, he did plead not guilty. But could he get suspended for it? Sure he could.
Oh,
so here's my bottom line to this. Yeah, I'm with Cody about the surprise factor only because they are going to miss Stefon Diggs next year. They're going to miss his presence. Listen, they were 80-1 to win the Super Bowl going into the year, and they were the shock story of the year. Obviously, came literally out of nowhere. And he had a whole lot to do with coming out of nowhere. And I'm with Aqib. I just think on presence leadership, just been there, done all that, practice hard, speeches, huddle speeches, just he's a real one. He's made big plays and big moments. And their marquee game of the year, I can't remember if it was a Sunday or I think it was a Sunday night at Buffalo. Remember, that was their breakthrough game. And they shocked the Bills at Buffalo, and he caught 10 for 146 in that game, going back to Buffalo to show Buffalo what they're missing. And was he Vrabel's cup of Gatorade? No, he's not. Vrabel doesn't love a lot of the drama. And Mr. Kraft can put up with a little more of it, but in the end, I just thought he was a really key cog to it, a really key part of their new psyche and the new Patriot way. And then the playoffs came, and I look at the productivity in the playoffs, and you can't defend it. Against the Chargers, 2 for 16, 4 for 40 against Houston, 5 for 17 at Denver in the cold game, the snow game, and then 3 for 37 against Seattle in the Super Bowl. It's not good enough. And so you can't argue it. I just say in the regular season next year, that leaves a big hole in their locker room, because I don't know who they're going to go get, but it better be somebody, because Mac Hollins and Booty and Kyle Williams just ain't enough, man.
I mean, but even if you look at the regular season, Skip,
yeah,
he gave you 1,013 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like, that ain't eye popping. That ain't just crazy numbers now, Skip.
Yeah.
Like, it was a presence there. Don't get me wrong. It was number one guy there, but it wasn't just spectacular. Like, oh, I don't give a fuck what he got going on. We got to find a way to keep him. It wasn't that.
But I think last time a receiver put a team over the top. He was just in the playoff situation with Buffalo. They ain't win no championship. Yeah. So I'm gonna put that more.
And Buffalo was done with him for so long, and they traded him. It's the same conversation with every team.
Yeah, like, he was a presence, but unless you're gonna put somebody over the top to get that Lombardi,
and I agree with you, Aqib. I'm not saying those are numbers that are irreplaceable. It's not like he's off the charts. But because of the gap from wide receiver 1 to wide receiver 2 in production, and now you have a quarterback in Drake May going into year 2, now going into year 3, that had that big jump. Now, I think Josh McDaniels is obviously the biggest reason for May taking the jump. His play himself is number 2, but you could argue Stefon Diggs is right around that third reason, at least from the outside being a receiver standpoint, that he helped Drake May take that jump.
He did.
Go from 85, the next one is 46 with Mac Hollins and receptions, and then you go from 1,000, the next closest outside of Hunter Henry's who tied in, but at receiver is Booty with 550. It's not like someone's really close. I think that's why I was so surprised, because of the gap from wide receiver 1 to wide receiver 2. But hey, the offseason is still early. We haven't even hit the new calendar year. They could have a plan in place, whether in the draft or free agency, they want to go get another guy.
Yeah. You know why it was such a big gap? Because they couldn't throw the ball, period. Drake May, they relied on that run game. That's why it was such a big gap.
Wait a minute.
TJ,
you're saying
are you hating on Drake May right now?
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna keep it a buck.
Wait a minute.
That was a statement.
Are you saying Drake May's overrated?
Yeah, yes. Hey, this time, Skip, you damn right.
Well, you kept it a buck. You kept it a buck. Your opinion's worth a buck. That's all it's saying, right?
Drake May was like that last year. Come on.
You boys are rowdy today. But listen, we're learning.
Hey, Kinsey, one last thing about Stefon Diggs. Seriously, I know he got into it with Josh in Buffalo, and they went back and forth, and he could be a diva because they're all divas. But he is a talent. And has Buffalo replaced Stefon Diggs since he left? Wasn't that what DJ Moore is all about?
No, they have. And in Buffalo missed Diggs, I would say.
I feel like when Diggs was there, they was here. Diggs is gone, they still here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They didn't make the bowl.
So you talking about replacing them and doing all this? It's not like they was in the Super Bowl and winning Super Bowls with them or losing Super Bowls with them, and they in the same spot. They still divisional. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, when you take a step back,
What's
the players that you deal with the drama, like Pickens, who it's like, you know what, I could deal with that. And then there's players like Diggs where it's like he doesn't have Pickens numbers where it's worth the 75 headlines that he produced this season.
Then with Pickens don't got no charges. Pickens don't got nobody suing him. Pickens on the boat with the pink Molly and got the videos circulating. Pickens just gonna pull up late to the meeting. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So his problems is way more to deal with, but it's way less to deal with, man.
Yeah. Pickens just no-shows in crucial games at Detroit on a Thursday night. That's all.
Topic, Kinsey.
I mean, but if you look at stats from Diggs too, it's not like every game Diggs is above 100 yards. Diggs has bad games too.
Right now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, hopefully Diggs gets his stuff together because he did lose the Super Bowl, lost Cardi B and his team in 1 month. So I think he's going to wake up a little bit on that one. Let's move to a couple guys that are also looking like they're available. And these are two strong guys. I kind of want to compare them here. So there's a bunch of trade rumors right now surrounding Maxx Crosby. And the price is going to be really, really high. It's looking like big numbers and draft picks. So I'm curious. Would a team rather sign Trey Hendrickson instead of giving up high-value picks for Crosby? Because Hendrickson, he is 31, so he's older, but he had 39 sacks in the past 3 seasons, while Crosby only had 32. And but Crosby does have 13 more pressures over the span. So, Skip, would you rather sign Trey Hendrickson or trade multiple picks for Crosby?
Okay. Listen carefully. If we're talking about all-around defensive end play, I'm taking Maxx Crosby because he's going to have way more run production. He's going to have way more solo tackles than Trey Hendrickson has. But if I just want pure pass rush, not defensive end play, not edge setting, if I just want pure, unadulterated pass rush, I want Trey Hendrickson over Maxx Crosby. So now we get back to what I proposed, and I said, if you could get the Raiders to take George Pickens off my hands, because I disagree with Kinsey about more trouble than worth, because to me, he is trouble waiting to explode. Under the franchise tag, wanting to be the highest paid receiver, I just don't trust it. And I made it clear, and I don't want to beat the dead horse. He is a stallion of a horse, and he did lead the league in receiving yards per catch. But the problem is with Maxx Crosby, they want 2 1s and an established starter. So if they wanted, let's say Dallas, we have 2 first-round picks. If they want the 12th overall and maybe next year's first, and let's say Osa Odigizua, who would be expendable because you do have Kenny Clark and obviously Quinnen Williams. So if that's the kind of deal for a Maxx Crosby, whose contract is it's pretty team friendly because he makes 30 next year, but then there are 3 more years already on there at about 35 a year. So with Trey Hendrickson, because we saw Danielle Hunter just get 40 million for 1 year to stay in Houston, and he's like 5 weeks older than Trey Hendrickson is. So the point on Trey Hendrickson, even though he's 2 years older, if you had to give him in free agency 40, 35, and 30 for the next 3 years, I would do that. I would encourage Jerry, just plunge and pay the money and keep both your draft picks, keep your team intact, because as Kinsey was pointing out, if you're talking about pure pass rush, I know Trey was hurt last year and he needed a little ab surgery at the end of the year. But if you go back 2 years ago, he was second in Defensive Player of the Year, and I thought maybe he was going to win it over Patrick Surtain because he led the league with 17 and a half sacks. And the year before, he had 17 and a half sacks. So he is a productive pass rusher. That's what we don't have. He is slightly better than Maxx Crosby is at rushing the passer. So I would just pay the freight. I would, unless if they would take George Pickens off my hands straight up for Maxx Crosby, I would do that because I believe I would alleviate a potential problem. And then Mendoza could have a 25-year-old hot number 1 receiver. You can have him in all the baggage that comes with him. No off the field baggage, but he is going to be late to meetings. He's going to miss team buses. He's going to be a losing football player. And 2 or 3 games a year, for whatever reason, he's not going to show up. So I don't want to pay a George Pickens, but I do want to play Trey Hendrickson and his high motor. I'll give him the 40 million a year.
You're not worried about him coming off the injury?
Again, I don't know exactly what the surgery was, but it was first they were saying it was a hip, but they said it was like an ab surgery. This day and age, I'm going to trust they fixed it.
Okay.
Well, I'm easily going Maxx Crosby, man. This is a longer investment. You're talking about a guy who's 28. And a guy who 31, like I don't even know if I could sign a 31-year-old to $3 million. What are you gonna play till he 35 at the end? Like I just don't feel comfortable signing him to nothing longer than 1 year. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna go with the longer investment. I think Crosby is more in his prime right now. You know what I'm saying? He in his prime years. He playing good football. Now they both got injury problems. So Crosby done had a bunch of knee surgeries over the past years.
Yeah.
He coming off this little surgery. So guys get hurt. That is what it is. That's the NFL, man. How can you play when you hurt? I love how Maxx Crosby play when he need knee surgery. He's still playing. He mad that they sitting him down because he still want to play. He ain't worried about that damn meniscus. He could play with it. You know what I'm saying? So he just got a little more juice right now, if you ask me. And if I'm able to trade one of my interior guys, Osa or Kenny Clark, if I'm able to trade one of those guys and not give him my 12th pick, but give him my later first-round pick and a first-round pick from next year, I'm doing that in a heartbeat. Before I sign Hendrickson to a 1-year, $40 million deal, I'm going to get rid of that late first-round pick and one of these interior guys and get Crosby in. That's a much bigger impact on my defense if it's me. So, hey, man, I'd jump all over that if I had the chance to do
All right,
that.
real quick before Cody goes, I remind you that Trey Hendrickson was the driving force of a Super Bowl defense. He did that, okay? He did that.
Okay.
How many
So
years
what else
ago?
he did in the other 15 years he played? What else he do?
He's not played 15. He's played 9.
I'm gonna say Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow was the driving force. That's what I saw as the driving force, not Trey Hendrickson. You know what I'm saying? And when they had Trey Hendrickson, it was a DN on the other side who was pretty damn good himself. So I don't know, Skip. I don't know. I'm not really going to pay that. I just don't see that. I don't see it. I'm going – when I watch the tape, I see a lot of Crosby. When I watch their tape, it's cool. I don't really see Hendrickson. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? It's not as dominant as what Crosby do. So I'm for sure taking that over Hendrickson.
All right. Go, Cody.
Yeah, I think Trey Hendrickson's a great football player. And you mentioned that he had a down year last year, but that was due largely in part because of the injury. He missed significant time. But the 2 years before that, to go 17.5 sacks in back-to-back seasons and the production that he had, it's hard to do. It's really hard to do in the NFL, especially being the premier pass rusher on your team. I think whatever team he goes to, whatever defense he goes to next season, he's going to make them immediately better. But with that being said, I have to agree with Aqib. I would take Maxx Crosby in a heartbeat if I had an opportunity. If I had the draft capital and the resources to do so via trade, I'm taking Maxx Crosby right away. He is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, but he's also a difference maker and a problem when he's on the field. And you talked about it, Skip. He's not just a guy that only rushes the passer. He can also stop the run, outside contain, and keep a strong outside arm and shed blockers. That is so difficult as a play caller, as an offensive coordinator, to game plan for a guy that can do both, because now I have to worry about him in the pass game with chips and quick game and try to speed everything up. And as a quarterback, that clock inside of my head, I can't get, to 3 to 4. I got to go 1, 2 and progression to run to throw away. But now in the run game, we also have to double team him or run away from him. That makes it so difficult to go into a game plan. Not a lot of guys in the league. Miles Garrett's in that category. TJ Watt's another one, but there's not a lot of guys that fit into that category as a defensive end that can stop the run and rush the passer. And the other thing, I just love the way that he plays football and the leadership that he brings to a football team. This guy, and I'm not saying this lightly, I feel like is willing to die and do whatever it takes to help his team win games. He does not care about personal stats. He does not care about his body. He has a high motor, and he's relentless as a football player, and that's the type of guy that I want on my defense. So I'm not saying Trey Hendrickson doesn't do that. I'm not saying other guys can't do that, but when you watch Maxx Crosby play football, it's just different, man. He's the real deal, and if I could find a way to get him on my football team, I'd do everything I could to do so.
Okay, yeah, he's such a real deal that the Raiders have the number 1 overall pick, right?
Yeah, but that's okay. Skip, you want? I'm gonna talk.
It's a quarterback-driven league.
You want to talk offensive line? You want to talk?
Yeah, I know. I got it.
The turnovers.
Look at Myles Garrett. He won Defensive Player of the Year, and where did the Browns end up? It's they can't do it all.
Yeah. No,
they definitely. And speaking outside of Myles Garrett, Maxx Crosby's competition is slim to none as far as all-around players, right? All-around defensive players. He gets to the quarterback. He stops the run. Leads and tackle for losses, almost double what Trey Hendrickson does. And, man, if I got a DN, we got to live and make first and second down hard so we can get to the opportunity to get sacks on third down. And that's what Maxx does, man. Maxx, had 53 pressures in the last, 3 years? Or was that 2 years? 53 pressures, and Hendrickson only have 23. Now, I hear you about the 17 and a half sacks skip back-to-back years. But what are you doing against the run? Are you clogging these gaps?
No.
Are you getting tackle for losses? Are you beating double teams? And sometimes the pressures don't, add up to sacks because they know you coming. They know you coming. They looking for you because you're the number one. And they trying to get rid of that ball. So all around mentality, production, leadership, what you want your club, like we talk about the Patriot way. Maxx Crosby is a great example as a player defining a culture for an organization. And so on top of all the stats and predictions and all that, that's what he does for the Raiders. He brings a culture and a lifestyle to that organization that, exudes all pros and championships. Now, if he could get some help around him, you'll see him improve. But starting with the quarterback, second, Maxx Crosby. So
okay.
I definitely, have Maxx.
Real quick. So why would the team with the number one overall pick, because it had the worst record, want to get rid of the player you just described?
They don't.
Why would
they don't. We're talking. This is a hypothetical.
Why?
It's been confirmed that's what they want.
He want to win games, so he's adamant about getting out of there. You know what I'm saying? And they trying to do everything. Hire the D-line coach as the D coordinator, and they trying to do everything they can do to make him want to stay. But if he wants to go that bad and he's not happy, we might as well get some compensation for him.
I mean, they just extended him in 2025 last year. Like they want through 2029. They want him in Las Vegas. I promise you that. But to go back to your other point, Skip, I think another thing that speaks volumes about Maxx Crosby is the fact that he's having this type of production on a team that's only had one winning season in the last 7 years since he's been with the Raiders. You know why? Because a lot of times they're playing from behind, so he doesn't get a ton of pass rushing opportunities. He's still making plays. A lot of times, if you watch the tape, they're running away from him, but he's so relentless with his backside chase down, he still is at the top of the league year in and year out with tackles for loss. What he does on a game-to-game basis is very impressive. Yeah, I think any team would be very happy if they had, obviously, the resources and the draft capital to go get him.
All right, every free agent list you look at has Trey Hendrickson ranked number one overall free agent available right here, right now.
Yeah.
And it's because of what Aqib always says about the essence of cornerback play is a pass rush, right? It starts with a pass rush that you can trust because it's going to change your rhythm and your tempo and your timing in your head. If you know you have Von Miller is going to get to the quarterback in whatever it is, 2.4 seconds, I only have to cover for 2.4 and then I can gamble, then I can jump. And that's what Trey Hendrickson does a little better consistently, especially over the previous 2 years, than Maxx Crosby. Because, listen, motor and bendability, he's more like Von Miller than Maxx Crosby is to me.
You know what he does have the benefit of, to allude to Cody's point, is that high-powered offense. So now other offenses, they got to drop back just to keep pace with Joe Burrow and Chase and T. Higgins and them. You better be passing the ball. You better be, because guess what? We finna run this scoreboard up. So keep up.
Yeah, Skip, I hate to bully you, but I'm going to agree with the boys on this one. And I actually am a little bit worried about the injury and the age. I think at the same time, that's tough. And I just think Hendrickson is elite pass rusher. You can't deny that. But Crosby is a complete defensive end. And if I had the draft capital and the cap space, I'm for sure taking a younger Crosby all day. I guess as a Bengals fan, it's been hard the past few seasons with Trey being in and out of injury. And that might have made the difference on them getting there every single game. And it was hard to watch. I think they're ready to move on for sure.
Okay, but in the end, you have to step back and say, how much is it worth? Like Aqib said, well, maybe the Raiders would take the Cowboys' second overall pick, which is 20 first round pick, and I don't think they will. I think they've got it. They got the player that everybody wants, so they're going to command the 12th overall and next year's number one and a player. And it's just a lot, man. It's going to push us back. I don't know.
to your point though, Skip, I do hear you on that. Like this isn't me knocking on Trey Hendrickson. I think he's a hell of a football player. And I actually disagree a little bit with Aqib. I don't think him being 31 is that big of a factor. Myles Garrett's 30, TJ Watt's 31. They're still having a ton of production. Now, this type of injury at 31 might play a little bit of a factor. But this isn't, is Trey Hendrickson not going to make a difference? I definitely think he should be the number one free agent target. It's just if you're building a football team and you have the resources to do both, which one are you taking? I think I'd take Maxx Crosby slightly ahead of Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, if you have the resources and the situations.
Danielle Hunter is 31 too. And what kind of contract did he get?
1 year, 40. Yeah.
Yeah. See, you just not signing a 31-year-old to another 3 year.
I got it.
Hard like that, brother. We're gonna give you a 1 year deal, and if you look good, we may give you another 1 year deal.
All right.
Good after that. Guess what you're gonna get after that? Another 1 year deal. Goddamn.
Okay, but Aqib, that 1 year is for $40 million.
Exactly.
It's a lot.
So that's what Trey gonna demand, something like that. He's gonna sign a 2 year deal with somebody with $40 million. So both of them gonna cost a lot of money. Both of them gonna deal with injuries. Like, man, why not just take the guy who in his prime, who played a run and the pass? And if you put like TJ said, you put Crosby in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow dropping 30 plus a game, he's gonna have 7 more sacks. He'll have 17 and a half 2 years. He had 14 or whatever he had. He had 17 and a half for 2 straight years if he played with Burrow too. It is what it is.
All right, guys, let's move on then. Let's move on to the Colts because the Colts use the transition tag on the quarterback, Daniel Jones, this week. So the transition tag means that Jones is allowed to talk to other teams about the contract, but the Colts have the right to match any offer sheet that he gets. So it's the first time since 1996 that the transition tag was used on a quarterback. So, Cody, what does it say that the Colts use the transition tag on Daniel Jones?
Yeah, and I'll explain that a little bit more. So what does the transition tag mean? Basically, like you mentioned, it means that they have the right of first refusal for that player, which means if a team does come in with an offer, the Colts have 5 days to match that offer. If they don't match that offer, then they can let Daniel Jones walk and they don't receive anything in return, which is different from the franchise tag. If you place a franchise tag on a player and a team comes in and offers him and you let him go, that team that takes him now has to give his former team 2 first-round picks. So, that's a big difference in all this. Also, the transition tag looks at the top 10 contracts per year, and you get the average between that. The franchise tag gets the top 5 contracts per year, and you get the average on that. So I do think it speaks a little bit that they didn't franchise tag him. Instead, they went with the transition tag. Like you said, the last time was in 1996, which the Falcons did. I think with Jeff Garcia was the guy who got the franchise tag back then, or got the transition tag back then. But it also tells me another thing. It tells me that even though it wasn't a franchise tag, that the Colts still see a future with Daniel Jones as their starting quarterback in Indianapolis, and they want to reserve the right to at least have some control over what he does in free agency and have the opportunity to bring him back in 2026. Because I thought he played really well in Steichen's offense, working with Jonathan Taylor and Tyler Warren and Pierce and Pittman on the outside. He did a good job of getting them the ball, using his weapons, not trying to do too much at the quarterback position. I know the production struggled a little bit before the injury towards the end of his season, but either way, he showed me enough on tape to where you can build around that in the future and deserves another chance to be their starting quarterback. The other thing that this tells me, though, with the transition tag and not wanting, or not at least yet getting a long-term deal done, is they're a little hesitant because of this injury. I think they want to wait and see how he recovers from the Achilles injury, because with this tag, this now allows the Colts to negotiate a deal all the way up until July 15th. So they can wait throughout the offseason to see if he is going to be ready for 2026 or if he is going to be ready for fall camp, and then make a better decision there when it comes to contract negotiations. I still think both sides get the job done. Just has to make sense for both of them. But yeah, this is a very rare thing. It's a unique situation, and I'm curious to see how this all plays out. I'm also curious to see if other teams are going to come in and try to make a run for Daniel Jones that might need a quarterback this season.
And I think that the Colts are just not worried about another team coming in and making a run for Daniel Jones. Because, I mean, it's not like he just went crazy in New York. You came to Indy, you had a solid first half of the season, then you pop your Achilles. So I don't really see another team like, hey, let's come get him and make him the face of our franchise. Like, for what? For 8 games? Like, that ain't really how the league work. You know what I'm saying? you're going to have to earn it, especially at quarterback. You're going to have to earn it a little bit more. So if they was worried about another team coming in, I think they would have franchise tagged him. You know what I'm saying? So I just think they're just not worried about another team coming in. They trying to save a little bit of money. They saved $6-7 million by transition tagging him. And then I think they want to buy themselves some time just to make sure they want to pay him. Make sure he's the guy for them. You know what I'm saying? So I think if another team did come offer him, they would try to match the offer. If that offer too high, they might let him walk and go another direction. But I definitely think they want him there. I think Shane Steichen, he's seen enough that year in the first 8 games that he want him there. He don't want to lose him like that. But at the same time, bro, this is almost a prove-it year for him. I don't even know if they do a deal this year. You might just play this whole year and make $37 million. And if it look as good as it looked last year, then we may give you a contract. Like I don't think he just straight out just earned himself. I'm the face of the franchise. Give me $40 million. I don't think he just earned that. Like you got to be healthy. You got to do better than 8 and 9, and then you gotta earn the right to get that franchise quarterback bag. I don't think he earned it yet.
But real quick, to your point, Aqib, if they weren't worried at all about a team coming in, then why even place a transition tag on them in the first place? Because if you use a transition tag, you can't use another tag. You can't use the franchise tag, and you've got other guys like maybe Alec Pierce, some other weapons on your team that you could use it elsewhere. I think there was some concern that a team might come in and maybe not pay him top 5 quarterback money, but pay him middle of the pack money, and they're worried about losing him, especially with trading Anthony Richardson or being willing to trade him and not having an answer at quarterback next year.
Like I said, I think they want to keep him. I think them first 8-9 games showed like, hey, if he could play like that again next year for the whole season, we definitely want to sign him and make him our quarterback. So I think they want to keep him. If you want to keep him, I'm not going to sign him with a popped Achilles. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm not worried about another team coming in, shit, let me save $7 million. That could be another player on our roster. You know what I'm saying? Let me save $7 million, put the transition tag on him. Ain't nobody going to come get him. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't see another team swooping in like, we got to get Daniel Jones. He had an amazing 8 games out of his 5-year career or whatever it is. Like, I just don't see a lot of teams. A lot of teams don't even need quarterbacks. From the ones who need quarterback, I don't see them coming to just take him away like that off the injury. The injury kind of helped the coach because it bought him a little bit of time. The injury is the main reason teams not going to come get him. It bought him a little bit of time.
Yeah. Cody, that was Jeff George. Not Garcia.
George, there you go. Yeah.
Man, I look at it as like they hoping somebody do come get him because we really don't want him. It's like being like you in an open relationship, right? We together, but I'm gonna allow you to go see if you can find somebody better than me. Or you know what I'm saying? Like, or somebody better than me comes in and gonna give you more than I'm gonna give you. So I like you, but if I really love you, I ain't gonna let you date nobody else. That's just what it is. So I feel like, hey, they hoping and praying somebody come give them an offer that they don't have to match. So Daniel Jones, early production in his career, not great. Okay production half the season, pop Achilles. It's like, oh, man, look, I'd rather start over. Keep it a buck. I'd rather start over and see if somebody could take him off our hands for us and do us a favor.
And they like Kyler Murray,
you know what I'm saying? So, you said they mentioned they got Alex Pierce. I think they're going to franchise him. Some think he's number 1, others don't. But Daniel Jones, I'm not building nothing around Daniel Jones. So I'm just not. I'm not building nothing, and I'm not giving him no long-term money.
But then why even transition tag him then if they felt that way? Why even mess with that? And then that way you can save your franchise tag for Alec Pierce or someone else. If you use a transition tag on Daniel Jones, you can't use any other tags. So
because we don't have a starter right now. We don't have a starter. That's just why we don't have a starter. So
yeah, exactly.
If we got to keep them, we keep them. But really, we really hope somebody else really could take them off our hands.
Okay, but TJ, if that were the case, they would just Kyler Murray him. They would just cut him. They would just say we don't want any.
They would take a hit, wouldn't they? If they don't have to take a hit, then why take a hit?
Okay, but why would you even use your tag? Because to your point, you can't franchise tag Alec Pierce. He's free. He's out there on the market right now, and they're trying to re-sign him, but somebody else could blow them out of the water. So, to me, when I saw this, I just I just laughed, but it's like sad laughed because Daniel Jones just gets no respect. It just wherever he's been, he had the one playoff run in New York, and they went up to Minnesota and beat Kirk Cousins, and he actually won a playoff game. And it's never going to get him over the hump. Nobody ever really believes in Daniel Jones. And what they said with the transition tag is, we really want you, but we don't think anybody else is going to want you, because if they did, they just don't think anybody would risk making a play for Daniel Jones that all of a sudden Indy wouldn't match, and you'd be stuck with Daniel Jones. And there's nobody in that division that's going to try to up the ante on him by making a play for him, knowing that the Colts are going to match that, because they don't think the Colts would match, to your point, but they still like him enough that they kind of sort of want to go forward with him next year if the injury situation works out. Because if you look hard at what happened this last year, they got all the way to 8-2, and he was leading the league in passing yards at 8-2.
Mhm.
And that
We were
week,
calling him Indiana Jones, and he was in the MVP conversation.
he
and
was. And remember what happened? He suffered a fracture of his left fibula. So his left leg, he fractured it, hairline fracture, but it was still a fracture. And he tried to play with it. And as Aqib knows, if you're going to favor the left leg and try to protect the left leg, whoops, all of a sudden you overextend on the right, and the Achilles ripped on the right and ruptured. So now he's got double jeopardy going on. But again, Chris Ballard, the GM, said, we used a tool that we have, but it's not what we want to do ultimately. So they're still saying they're negotiating with Daniel Jones, but everybody's made the point. I think they just want to hang on for a while to see how the Achilles progresses, right, and see if he starts to move around a little bit and show them something. So it's right now 1 year for $37.8 million, which by the standards, yeah, go ahead.
And if you get to whatever July, when he got a sign tag and no one's came to offer him, why would I sign him to a long-term deal right now? Like, it's no reason to. Shit, I got him at 1 year, $37 million. Why would I even sign him right now? When let us get to week 13 or 14 and he be playing like he played last year, then I sign him to a long term and make him the face of the franchise. Like this, if they don't have to deal with those problems and somebody trying to take them, which they probably won't. I don't see why they would sign them before the season. It's no point.
Yeah, they very well could.
And to your point, they keep. They'll do whatever they took.
He was only on a 1 year. He was only on a 1 year, $14 million deal. So if they didn't do this, he was gone. It wasn't going to hurt their cap.
Yeah, right.
He would have been a free agent. So they didn't have any issues with letting him go. But obviously, they
like him. I think they want him there. But you just got to move a little bit more, bro. 8-2, it just ain't enough, bro. 8-2 ain't enough in the NFL, brother.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what happens with Indiana Jones. I hope he stays with Indy. I like him there. I hope he proves himself, gets his deal done. But let's talk about a little drama before we close out, okay? So we'll finish with some drama. So in Vegas, Alex Guerrero, who is officially the Raiders' wellness coordinator, a very vague title, and many believe that he's actually just Tom Brady's eyes and ears on a daily basis. So apparently coaches and players, including Maxx Crosby, were really frustrated with Guerrero's involvement in the team because Guerrero is claiming he has a lot of power, saying that staff members, if they don't listen to him, their job is at risk. So, Aqib, what does it say that the players and coaches are frustrated about Guerrero's involvement around the building?
I just never believe all that hearsay. Alex, I know Alex personally. Alex is not going around telling people, hey, if you don't listen to me, you might get fired. Like, that's just not even in his personality, man. They talking about it now, but Alex was on the staff last year as the wellness coordinator. You know what I'm saying? So, man, if Tom is making decisions, Tom is going to have Alex on the medical staff, period, because he believes in what Alex does. You know what I'm saying? I was in New England. I worked with Alex. I tore my quad. I had a bad strain in my oblique. Both injuries, I went to work with Alex. Immediately after we got off work, I went over to the facility. He was in Patriot Place. I went to his office and got work every day. And shit, I loved it. He helped me get back on the field faster than I thought I would be back on the field. Faster than the doc said I would be back on the field. I was feeling better They say 5 weeks. I was good in 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? By going to weekly. So I think he's just there to help, man. He's there to help. He's there to coordinate. And if you don't like his treatment, then don't use it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think he's hurting nobody. I don't think he's the one who said we need to shut Crosby down for the rest of the season. Like, bro, that's baloney to me, bro. I just don't believe all that he say, she say, man. And Tom is trying to help. Tom know this dude has got guys back on the field. You see, I seen a number that says something about like they are more healthy since Alex has been there. You know what I'm saying? I seen a number that said that. So, man, it's I don't really buy into it, man. To all the extra Tom Brady stuff that come with Tom. You're gonna try to find every single thing. I know Skip is finna talk like, oh, he's there's running the doctors. He's telling people who to play, not to play. Tom Brady got his hands off. Like, that's just the bullshit, man. That's the bullshit that comes.
Skip all too well.
when you Tom Brady, that's the bullshit that comes with you.
You guys want to go? You want me to go?
Yeah.
I'll go.
Yeah, you got to
so,
get the rebuttal.
Yeah, let's hear it. Skip.
Just the way that you, Aqib, know Alex Guerrero, I know the writer of the Athletic story in question here, Mike Silver. I know him well, and I believe in him, and I trust him. And if he reported that, I believe that is going on behind the scenes in Las Vegas. And this is classic Tom Brady, and I do believe that Alex has become Tom's eyes and ears because he is the obvious absentee GM of the now Las Vegas Raiders. This is Tom's show from a distance. He lives in Florida. He obviously works for Fox. He appears on various yachts when he's vacationing around the globe. But in the end, his focus and his interest is in running the show for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think Alex is smart, and I think Tom handpicked him to be his eyes and ears, boots on ground every day at practice with the Raiders. And remember, Spy Tech, Tom knew from Michigan and Tampa. So Tom is now in charge, and let's see how he operates. Let's see what the product wasn't very good last year. And obviously Tom signed off on the head coach last year and the quarterback last year. Those were Tom's babies. So, and now they're not. So, and now Gino is obviously going to be dismissed also. So, again, I believe in what Mike Silver reported, and I think some people are pushing back on Alex being, quote unquote, in charge of a lot of things in Las Vegas. So, yeah, you can dismiss it as bullshit. I would enhance it as truth.
Yeah, that's the same thing Mike Silver would do. I know Mike Silver too. And if I told Mike Silver, me and my teammate had a nice little argument, it would get reported as we had a huge, big, ugly argument. You know what I'm saying? That's just what Mike do. That's my guy. I respect Mike. I talk to him all the time.
Okay.
Mike is going to turn that shit up, bro. That's what he going to do. That's exactly what he going to do. So as soon as you say Mike Silver, I'm like, oh, yeah, well, that's why it's blown up. You know what I'm saying? That Mike going to get the best out of his stories.
Well, are you saying there's no truth to what he reported?
No, it's always truth to what he reported. But he's going to get the best out of it, though.
Okay.
He's going to get the best out of his story.
Okay, sure. I'll buy that.
I like to look at this as, Alex being Kinsey, like the Godfather, right? He's Tom Hagen. So when Brady's not there, you gotta have somebody reporting, somebody that you trust, somebody that you know how you operate, somebody that has your eyes on the ground. Now, as far as the power to make moves and say certain things, I don't think that's completely true. But whatever's going on in that building, when I'm not there, I know that Alex is going to come back and give it to me straight how it is.
Correct.
He's doing this, they doing that, whoop-de-whoop said this, and I can trust everything that he's bringing back to me. Now, if I tell him to do certain things, I gave him the power to do those certain things. So if he is doing them, trust and believe, they coming from Tom Brady. I don't think he's doing anything outside of what Tom is allowing him to do or telling him to do. Now, as far as nutrition and the Tom Brady diet, TB12 diet, I don't know nothing about that. I don't know nothing about the health with the Raiders. I just know that they was trash last year, and they need to be making a lot of changes to get better. So,
So TJ, you know the term consigliere? Because that's what. Okay, so that's what it was in The Godfather. Yeah, there you go.
Italian now, but I watched The Godfather a lot, and I know what that role is.
That's the role.
You better be a trusted man. You better keep it straightforward. And I think that's what Alex is doing over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, quickly, I gotta agree with Aqib. I was in New England for a year, and I can only speak on my experience. But I worked every single day with Tom Brady in 2019. Not one time did Alex ever become a distraction or try to interject himself into different things. I just didn't see it when I was within the facility. I never saw him have an issue with any of the other players. I saw a lot of guys that had a lot of respect for him. Then the other thing I'll say to TJ's point, man, if Tom Brady has some suggestions on who should be inside the building and how things should operate, and they think this guy or whoever it may be can help us win games, and I'm the Raiders, I'm 100% listening to that. I'm going to be on board completely because I want to turn my team around, and I'm learning from the best to ever do it, who's involved in our organization, who wants to see us get better. So if Tom Brady makes a suggestion for our organization, then I think, if I'm the Raiders, then I would be on board. And then finally, the other thing too is just, with all of this, I'm curious to see the next step. Pete Carroll obviously was there last year. How does Clint Kubiak react to all this? Is he okay with it? Does he agree with some of it? I think that's going to be another factor going into this offseason is how Kubiak runs things, because he is a first-time head coach. So maybe he doesn't love some of the stuff that's going on right now. But for the time being, if Tom Brady's making suggestions and he thinks it's going to help our organization, I'm on board.
Go ahead, Kinsey.
We got two guys on the show who know Alex Guerrero personally, who spent time in the building with this guy, and they're both on the same page that this doesn't seem in character. So I don't know. I don't know if it's much of an argument here.
Okay, but time out. No, that was the trainer, Alex Guerrero. This is like the quasi GM. He's become an executive. No, it's different. It's different.
What was the word? The concierge? What is it?
Consigliere. No, he's different. He's an executive now.
He's reporting back to Tom Brady. The Vegas Raiders cannot get any worse. All right. So what can we do to get him better? I ain't mad. If Tom Brady needs to step in and have eyes and ears from this guy that both of you guys liked in the building, hell yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. Good.
That's crazy.
Agreed.
Skip looked at me crazy when I said that. What did you say? I know I butchered this.
Tom Hagen
as a wellness coordinator that makes him he's an executive now, right?
Well, he's the director. He's the wellness director. That's
they
what
could have gave him that title. They just said wellness coordinator.
No, it's director. I think
He goes doing treatments, bro. He's doing what he do. You know what I'm saying? That's what he do. Guys get healthy, man.
To that point, the training staff are usually the biggest reporters to upstairs.
You're right.
Yeah, no matter what team.
What's the difference between Alex and the other trainers from every other team? They are the guys who go upstairs and report. So that's all he's doing. I'm here to report on guys' injuries, who came to treatment, who's hurt, who's limping around a little bit, who should be coming to see me, and they not coming to see me. They're not doing everything they can do to get back on that field. I'm telling you, bro, that's all he's there for, bro. So you could call it the eyes and the ears. Every trainer is the eyes and the ears for the head coach. So just because you're Tom Brady, that shit get cranked up to the max.
Yeah,
they be flies on the wall because you be in training, you be lax, you be talking to the homies, you be saying stuff, and they be just listening, ultrasounding, taking all this shit in. Yeah, I'm going right upstairs after this.
Work like that.
Yeah.
So not a shocker, the Bronco boys are agreeing and disagreeing with Skip. So that's another episode.
Today. Yeah, he still came for us today. He was trying to start.
I know
I got you good today.
Hopefully you're not scared when we get back in person next week. I want this same energy.
Yeah.
I like the shots fired. All right, boys. We're gonna call it a day after that. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of the Arena Gridiron. We'll see you back on Monday. Woo woo.